Hopefully you could be able to hear me. I'm not too sure. I've just switched over to uh, this new Streamlabs, so I'm not too sure if this works well. So we'll have a look in a second. We'll find out, I'm sure, shortly. Let's have a look in a second. See what happens here. If it comes up. Right. Wicked. Alright, we're cool. We're in. We're wicked. We're going. Back. Boxing is back. I'm back here on the channel covering Foster versus Beech Jr. and Hamzah Sheeraz versus Paul Kean here. We've got Dorian Krasmaru in here against, I think it's a guy by the name of Williams, is it? Williams is a tough opponent. He's resistant. He's only been knocked out, I think, 3 times, is it? 2 of those times by Fabio Wardley, and then the other time by, let's have a look. Put this down in my notes. Can't quite remember who it was. Cash Ali was one of them. Yeah, so Cash Ali and Fabio Wardley. So bit of a resistance here for Krasmaru to come through. He should come through, whether it's by stoppage or by points. But look, he's just rocked Williams there. He's back onto the ropes now. There's a lot of noise coming around, isn't there, about Dorian Krasmaru? I've not seen anything of him, to be honest with you, really, to comment on him. So I'm learning just as much as you guys are on him. Dorian is very highly rated within some of the circles. But we'll see if he lives up to any of that hype. It depends on how he comes through in the next couple of years or so. But he's a Ukrainian, big Ukrainian, heavyweight Ukrainian who's, you know, when you think of heavyweight Ukrainians, you think of one that was at cruiserweight and is now up at heavyweight. It's Alexander Usyk, of course, who's looking to make his name in the heavyweight division. In some ways, you can say they're in a similar sort of track, aren't they? But of course, obviously, Alexander Usyk has got has got much more of a track record, having dominated the cruiserweight division through the WBSS, and so yeah, big kind of talent coming through now from those sort of areas of the world. You got what, Lomachenko, of course. What's going on here with Paul Williams? Sorry, Lomachenko, of course. You got Usyk, of course. Like I just said, the now retired Kowalczyk. He's from that area as well. So a lot of talent coming over from that area. And I remember Alex yesterday saying in an interview I did with him, he was just like, look, in a couple of years, you're going to see this more and more of these talents coming through. The more and more the boxing scene is going to transition from you know, British and American Isles back over to, you know, your Kazakhstans, Uzbekistans, Ukraine, Russia. So we'll see what happens, and this guy's obviously looking to lead the charge for that kind of area of the world, and we get to see him on British shores here, don't we? So we'll see how he gets on. At the moment, he's just kind of putting the pressure on, isn't he, against Paul Williams, he's just there really to. This is a showcase, isn't it? It's a showcase of Dorian Krasmaru, who's been this is the story that we know, don't we, about Dorian. He's the sparring partner of Daniel Dubois. They've done countless rounds. So what can you say about someone who's done his rounds and is known behind the scenes as opposed to in front of the cameras? He's making his name now. We've just got the little whispers of what we've heard. So whilst we're waiting for this next round to commence, I'm going to push forward with just a little bit of a promo. Some of the stuff I've been doing whilst under quarantine and lockdown. So let's take the first look at the first promo and let me know what you guys think of what's being said here. Eddie, what about someone like Povetkin? Like, he's on your card, but he's had his troubles with drugs in the past. What's the status there? You've got Jarrell Miller on one side, and then you've got Povetkin.
I think it's very different in terms of the offences committed. Now, Alexander Povetkin had a ban, which he saw out. I mean, again, not going into his case, tiny traces of whatever it was. I don't even know the substance. Do you ban everybody who fails a test forever? I don't think so. But, you know, when you do it multiple times and you are a clear drug cheat and you cannot box without it, of course, there's no option. but to do it. So it's very difficult, to be honest with you, to continuously make fights in the heavyweight division without someone that has a mark on their record for something.
So that's one of the big talking points. So as one of you says, Champ Box is saying you can't hear me, so I might just push myself a little bit louder. Make sure I'm better heard. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I don't want to be too loud. Sometimes there's some ticking noise coming through. I don't want that to come through this time around, so I will just check on my end as well to make sure that's not the case. But yeah, on your screen you'll be seeing, or you've seen Eddie Hearn and I talking about the kind of big news that had happened, the drug scene, the heavyweight scene involving PED usage in boxing. Again, Jarrell Miller. Let's have a quick look. Make sure there we go. Better heard. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I don't want to be too loud. Sometimes there's some ticking noise coming through. I don't want that to come through. Just checking that was coming through now. So yeah. Anyway, the heavyweight scene, as you know, the big news. Whilst we're looking at two heavyweights here, Williams and Krasmaru. As we're looking at those two fight, we're going to talk about Jarrell Miller, who obviously tested positive again for performance-enhancing drugs, a drug that allegedly he's had pot for before. A performance-enhancing drug, I think it's one that allow him to throw more punches, give him that endurance. What is it? Something a ball, I don't know what it was. It doesn't matter anyway. The point is that Jarrell Miller has been popped again for drugs in his system, and that's potentially curtailed his career for good. Essentially, will he be allowed back? Will people want him back in boxing? I don't know. It doesn't seem like people do want him back. That guy, that interviewer. Did you all see that interview with that guy? It was a really good interview, actually, has to be said. The fella just put it on Jarrell, and Jarrell wasn't happy at all about some of the questions that was been asked. As we're just seeing Dorian Krasmaru put it on Paul Williams, asking him a lot of questions, asking him, does he still want to be in the ring with him? This is a medium-ish ring, I think. So there's a lot of room for Paul, but Paul's not really throwing much back here now. Dorian's just laying it on. He's just holding now to get a bit of a... As I just take a quick detour, it says Sahil is saying I'm Hamzah's family friend, really close, sad to not watch him in the venue. Yeah, Sahil, look, were you there at Midlands Mayhem? Because I was there at Midlands Mayhem in Birmingham, and I got to see Hamzah ringside. Again, like I said, I've interviewed him a couple of times. I did interview him for Boxing News TV as well. And yeah, of course, his aunt died, didn't she? I saw some articles on it, and came as a bit of a shock. It's quite crazy, actually. I did ask him about it, and obviously sent my condolences to him and his family. Listen, Hamzah's a really, really, really amazing prospect for the division, for Frank Warren, for British Asians, and we'll get on to him soon. We'll get on to Hamzah soon. But yeah, look, Hamzah looks like he's going to be flying that flag and taking over from Amir Khan, along with a lot of British Asians coming through now. Look, you've got Amar Akbar, who's just been signed to Frank Warren's Queensbury Promotions. You've got Shabazz Massoud, who's just signed to MTK, and now he's obviously he's with Frank Warren. He's had a couple of fights with Frank, and he's looking to move on. He's now training with Ben Davidson. Sahil saying, you look familiar. I think I've seen you a couple of times in Birmingham. Yeah, you might have done. I'm from the area, so if you see me, shout me for sure, by all means. But yeah, listen, that fight with Paul Kean was crazy. Like, not Paul Kean, that fight with Ryan Kelly was so crazy. Ryan Kelly, right? My boxing coach, so I go boxing, my boxing coach who trains me, his girlfriend is Ryan Kelly's cousin. And Ryan, he was telling me, oh, look, Ryan's going to be on a fight. I was like, oh, I can't wait for it. And then I see, like, a week later, Ryan Kelly's in with Hamzah Sheeraz. I was like, oh. You know what I mean? And look, Ryan's a really good fighter. And that wasn't some gimme at WBO European level. That wasn't, like, people criticize Frank and say, you know, he sets fights, easy fights. Like with Anthony Yard, he hasn't done anything. Listen, against Ryan Kelly, Hamzah Sheeraz had to adapt in the ring, and he had to make those adaptations, and then take the opportunity when it had to take the opportunity when it presented itself, and he did. He took it in emphatic fashion. It was like boom. It was like a right hand, and it just dropped Ryan. And I was there, and I think it was Ryan's dad was just screaming for Ryan to cover up, and obviously he was under such immense pressure that he was just swarmed by, and eventually he got the stoppage. Hamzah did it. It was really good. It's a really great fight actually to watch. And there was listen, we were in Birmingham, right? We were in Birmingham. We're in Ryan Kelly's back garden. Yet Hamzah Sheeraz's fans just swarmed the place. You could only hear fans shouting for Hamzah. So it was and I was asking him, like, is that going to affect you? Because you're in his home, back garden. And he goes, nah, I bring my fans everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm from London. I've boxed here. I've got people up in Birmingham. I can go everywhere, and people will follow me. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, he's working with Amir Khan's uncle as well, Uncle Taz. The guy's got all the tools. He's an absolute freak at the weight. He can go up to fucking 160, even further. You know, the sky's the limit for him, really. So he's definitely one to watch alongside, you know, Shubhaz Masood Abdullah's, Amar Akbar's. I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys through in the next few years, see what they're about. And Hamzah's one I'm tipping for the top 100%. Nice place, Birmingham, from Hamzah's hometown, Ilford, London. Oh, right, that makes sense. Yeah, listen, I think Hamzah's going to win against Paul Kean. Paul Kean's got he had like a 6-week camp, I think, for the first time round when it was supposed to happen in March, but now it's obviously been rescheduled because of COVID. And now he's had like a 10-week camp, so he's got like all the he's had all the time to prepare. So listen, this guy's going to give him the test that he's going to give him, and we'll see what Hamzah does in the ring to come through, and I think he will. David Lawrence Graham, what have I missed? Not a lot. You haven't missed a lot. I've just started. I'm just getting back into the swing of things. I thought I'd do a stream today. Get back. British boxing is back, so I thought I'd do a stream here, see how it goes. So you haven't missed much at all. If you haven't already, and if you're new here, smash the like and subscribe button, as I've got much more boxing content coming your way. As you can see, follow me on Twitter, TakeAims, and Instagram. And subscribe to Boxing News TV. That's where I do the majority of my interviews. So I've interviewed Hamzah Sheeraz, if you want to go check that out. Shubhaz Masood got interviewed as well. Freza Kendo, a really good 2-hour interview with him. Jimmy James Harrington was a brilliant 1-hour plus interview, talking about him, his bipolar disorder, the attempted robbery and attempted suicide he made on his life, and how he's come through that. So do check those out. Subscribe to Boxing News TV and here the TakeAims channel. And this is what we do. We do live streams for the events. I've got interviews coming up. I've got more videos coming up, and some more stuff coming up hopefully in the future. I'm just editing them stuff now. I used iMovie. This is a bit of a boring stuff, but I used iMovie. Now I've moved over to got the full Adobe Premiere Suite, so I'm just learning that and hopefully bringing some different style of videos. So yeah, I know you're already subbed, David. Just anyone else who isn't subbed, just let me know. David, I know you've been around for a while. I know you're part of the Boxing Asylum crew as well. So I was there actually. I was on Boxing Asylum. You must have heard me a couple of weeks back. Talking about the Freza Kendo situation, which is absolutely crazy, isn't it? Like the stuff that's gone on with him. And I messaged Frez actually. I messaged him for an update because he said, you know, finally in a couple of weeks I'm gonna get my my resolution, but he's not got anything just yet in terms of an update. So I'll be pressing him again to see if he's got his money that he feels due to him from the from the legal proceedings that he put against Char, I think it is, and others. So we'll see what happens with Frez. But yeah, all that's happened so far is Dorian Krasmaru, who's beaten Williams, and Mark Chamberlain. I think it was Mark Chamberlain absolutely destroyed Stu Greener in the first fight. God, you know what they're saying when they say boxers aren't paid for overtime. This guy just absolutely plowed his way through his opponent Stu, which was obviously just looked overmatched there. But yeah, boxing back to British eyes in explosive fashion through Mark Chamberlain, who's supposed to be one to watch. David Lawrence Graham saying the Frez situation is a joke. 100% it is a joke. We'll go into that in a moment if that's a topic for filler in terms of waiting for these fights, like we're waiting for the next fight now, so we can go into that. But yeah, I've got a couple of topics lined up. I'm just going to roll the promo up again so I can get back into it. Hopefully you guys can hear it, so I'll pull it a little bit louder and we'll talk a little bit about that again. So let me just roll that Eddie Hearn promo once more and you guys can check it out. What about someone like Povetkin? Like, he's on your cards, but he's had his troubles with drugs in the past. What's the status there? You've got Jarrell Miller on one side, and then you've got
It's very different in terms of the offences committed. You know, Alexander Povetkin had a ban, which he saw out. I mean, again, not going into his case, tiny traces of whatever it was. I don't even know the substance. Do you ban everybody who fails a test forever? I don't think so, but you know, when you do it multiple times and you are a clear drug cheat and you cannot box without it, of course, there's no option but to do it. So it's very difficult, to be honest with you, to continuously make fights in the heavyweight division without someone that has a mark on their record for something.
So that's the conversation I had with Eddie Hearn. You can check out the full interview on Boxing News TV. We were talking obviously about the heavyweight division, Jarrell Miller drugs test, and the interesting situation there with Eddie Hearn is, look, you've got Jarrell Miller on one end who's tested positive to drugs, and you've got your opinions on him, but then you've also got Alexander Povetkin, who's had his history with drugs, and he's saying something very interesting here, which I think we all know, and maybe it's an indication as to how widespread this is in the sport. He says there, look, he goes, it's hard to make fights in the heavyweight division without somebody who has some form of blot on their record, which is, I don't know how to take that, because on one end, well, this is how I take it. On one end, it's terrible because you don't want that to be in the sport at all, like, period, full stop. And then second of all, it kind of makes you look wider in terms of that being in the heavyweight division, and then it makes you look wider at the whole sport and look, like, you know, this is everywhere, this is blighting the sport. It's just about who gets popped and who's got the money to combat it, right? So it's a real shame because, listen, Jarrell Miller is obviously credible enough as an opponent. He's a good talker. He's someone who could do something in the heavyweight division, but in that sense, he's just thrown it away, hasn't he? But the first time round, people weren't happy at all, were they? They weren't happy at all with the fact that he'd taken these performance-enhancing drugs, and he didn't get a ban or anything like that. He'd just not been signed by anyone. He kind of did like an unofficial imposed ban by boxing in a sense. They just wouldn't touch him. And then they've given this time out, and then top rank Bob Arum, that looks like a terrible decision now, doesn't it? Top rank taking up Jarrell Miller, signing him up to a contract. They put that fight up with Jerry Forrest. Jerry Forrest then fought Carlos Akam. That was yesterday, and Carlos Akam came through Jerry Forrest, who didn't look too great. I think Timothy Bradley was disparaging him, saying, you know, he was underprepared and should have been throwing more punches in that fight. But anyway, look, we're talking about Jarrell Miller, and this is the thing. It's a shame for him. He could have done something in the sport. Lifetime bans are one thing, which is what Eddie was saying in the interview. Do you give him a lifetime ban, or do you give him just a 6-month ban or a year ban? The fans, I think, want a full lifetime ban, but the thing is, where does he go as a person? Where does he go as like someone who earns money? It's difficult for him. So I'm not too sure what side of the corner I'm on. To be fair, I think, you know, you got to ban him, and you got to ban him for a significant period of time. To be honest with you, because it's a danger. This is the thing: is Jarrell Miller, even after he serves a ban, right? Is he still a danger to the sport because of the potential of him and the track record of him, or do you just wipe it off and say, look, another chance, another further ban? And then you take a look at other things like Liam Cameron getting popping for, you know, substances that aren't performance enhancing, and he gets gets the book thrown at him. So it's a situation in which it's hard to put a distinction on in terms of what punishment should be and how the outlook should be as a person on that boxer. You know, if you know what I'm trying to say here. But I think with Jarrell Miller, you have to impose at least a year. I'm looking at more 2 years. As a person, I think a 2-year ban would in this instance, because he didn't get an official ban the first time round, so it's hard to. So you can't go by that one because there was nothing official. So I think this time around it's 2 years, and anything further, and you just. But ideally, you just don't want any form of PEDs in the sport. But you just don't know how widespread this is. But anyway, yeah, it's really hard for me to kind of relay my thoughts out on it, because I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, like how you deal with it. I don't know. You get people who say it's everywhere. you know, which is a shame, especially if it's the heavyweight division. It's a shame if you're saying, you know, it's everywhere in the sport, and that's the marquee, isn't it? It's the marquee division, the heavyweight division. If heavyweight division's thriving, then the whole of boxing is thriving. But if the heavyweight division is thriving on the back of PEDs, then is the sport thriving? No, full stop. So, yeah. We're just getting a promo here for Hamzah Sheeraz, so I assume he's coming up pretty soon. A replay of Ryan Kelly here, the destruction of Ryan Kelly. I was there ringside. It was an absolute cracking performance. This guy was just showed new tools in the ring with the way he adapted in winning that WBO European strap there, and I think he'll be on next. Let's go on to another topic point whilst I just check what David Lawrence Graham has said here. The Holyfield-Tyson era was far worse for PEDs, but no one seems to complain about that. They're all at it, yet they go down as legends. So, with this, like Holyfield, Tyson, that kind of area, like that's before my time. So this is where I pick up like information where it's like I'm looking back on it, and you know, I'm not living through it, and it's just such a shame. Like if it's the case that that era, which is supposed to be, you know, part of the golden era and things like that, when, you know, coming through from Ali and then all the way up to your Holyfields and Tyson things, that sort of era, maybe not that as early as Ali, but this era that you're on about with Holyfield and Tyson, it's terrible to think that those people that we put at the top of the sport have used those substances to get where they are and get the accolades that they got. Like we saw it with Lance Armstrong, and it took like that whistleblower, the fella that just had enough, and I think he popped. So therefore, he just thought, look, I'm going to rat everyone out. And it only takes that to happen once in a sport to just change everything. Now, if that's happening in boxing, then everything's quite tight-knit, and boxing is a tight-knit sport, isn't it? Everyone knows everyone. I mean, maybe cycling's even smaller, but look, if the wrong person pops and he can't fight it, then the ball might potentially roll and snowball into so many people getting outed. And listen, I don't want to be I'd like to think naively, and I'd like to think like, oh, you know what, it's not going on. People aren't using that, but the reality is that maybe they are, but I just hope they aren't. You know, I'd like to live in that world, but maybe I'm just being naive. But yeah, anyone who's been using that and they're a legend of the sport, like look, it puts that massive asterisk. It's more than an asterisk, isn't it? It's a asterisk. Sorry, it's more than an asterisk. It completely blights their achievements, because the achievements are born through the usage of PEDs. But let's move on to our next topic whilst we're waiting for Hamzah Sheeraz, who I think should be next. Hamzah's a real good talent, so do stick around for Hamzah and get it on. If you're watching me, you should be also watching BT Sport as well. So make sure you've got that going on. So let's move on to let's look at the main event, and let's look at a guy who'll be keeping his eye on the main event in Sheeraz Massoud, who'll be watching Brad Foster and James Beech very keenly. So let's check that out right now.
Hopefully he doesn't vacate after this fight.
Have you spoke to Frank about that fight?
The day I got signed, I said to him, I go, British champion, he knows about it. I told him, I go to Frank the day I got signed in the office. He knows about me. He knows what I'm about, so don't worry about that.
So that was Sheeraz Massoud you just saw there as I interviewed him for Boxing News TV. Just a quick snippet there I thought I'd get out for you as a little appetizer to the main event here. Brad Foster versus James Beech, as I said earlier before that promo. Listen, first of all, again, as we talked about British Asian talent, Sheeraz is one of them. Sheeraz looks fluid, mercurial. He's got all the talent in the world. He's not having very easy fights. He's not having any knockovers by any sense. Has been tested in the ring. Look, when he fought Yasna Talavera came to fight. They had to take that fight, even though Talavera was overweight as well. But they still pushed forward the fight. They could have got someone in and, you know, had something a bit easier. And I think Sheeraz obviously wanted to showcase himself, but listen, he was obviously overweight, so power wasn't quite there. But he's working on that now. He's moved up with MTK and he's been trained by Ben Davidson. And I asked him, like, after the fight, look, what route are you looking to go to? And I think he's got his head screwed on. I think he acknowledges, look, he wants to go through like your English, and he's mandatory for the English, right? Shabazz Masood right now is mandatory for the English title against Michael Ramabeleza, who's knocked out, I think, 3 of his last 4. He's a proper wily veteran who knows what he's doing, knows his way around the ring. He's no schmuck either, and he's on a like this sort of knockout streak against people with similar records as Shabazz. And Shabazz was saying that, look, nobody wants to. He's avoided right now. Nobody wants to fight him in my division. I'll take him on. I'll prove the point. I'll make the statement. And I think he's going about things the right way, in that sort of sense. But I think equally though as well, he's very focused on the fact that, look, opportunities might come my way that are bigger than the British title, English title, British title, that kind of route, and I might take that way as well. But the fact that he's not kind of disregarding the traditional route is good in a sense, and that's just an understanding of how focused and how wise he is in terms of thinking about his career, which I think is beyond his years. So I'm very impressed with Shabazz in showing his maturity, but he's also gonna be keeping his eye on this main event tonight. Brad Foster specifically, I think he said in that interview, he goes, look, when I signed with Frank Warren, I told him that's what I'm about. He knows what I'm about. Let's make it kind of happen. I think he knows that, look, well, at least I think he thinks that he's got the beating of Brad Foster. He doesn't want him to vacate. He wants him to hold on to that title, which he'll win it outright, won't he? Brad Foster will win it outright if he wins here. Obviously, he beat Lucien Reed beforehand in a rematch, wasn't it? Before that was an appetizer, wasn't it? Before the Tyson Fury Wilder rematch on it was broadcast on ITV Sport, wasn't it? ITV, not ITV Sport, sorry. Excuse me, we've just seen an interview of Hamzah Sheeraz here. But yeah, he's got his eye on it. He doesn't want him to vacate. Either way, it doesn't matter to him too much because he's just said, look, listen, he's the name, but that's the belt. That's the belt I want. It doesn't matter who is in front of me. So I'm glad that he's kind of looking to go to that route, but I'm also glad that he's not afraid to look a little bit higher, look at Brad Foster and say, look, I want him as well. And that would be a great fight. That would be a great fight for both of them in the future if they do take it, or even a British title fight for Shabazz in the future as well. But yeah, I think it'll be a really good fight. The main event will be really good. I think I've seen more of Brad Foster than I have of James Beech, but I'm sure they're both going to bring it. I'm sure they're both well prepared for the fight, and we'll see how that one goes. That's we're just waiting now for. We're seeing David Hay commentate here, talking as passing the time as much as I am. Again, if you're new here, smash the like and subscribe button. We've got Brad Foster versus James Beech Jr. and Hamzah Sheeraz versus Paul Kean, which is what we're waiting for right now. We've had Dorian Krasmaru versus... Oh, and we've got David Adeleye, haven't we? David Adeleye is on here as well. A lot been spoken about David Adeleye, which we'll get into as well at some point. They're just showing a replay of Hamzah Sheeraz here. Look at that. That's just classic right hand there. Obviously, the opponent's coming in. He's coming in low, and he's left himself open for that right hand there. But that right hand's becoming a bit of a signature shot for him, as are those left hooks. Could you imagine in the future Hamzah Sheeraz versus Sebastian Fundora? What a cracking and crazy fight would be between those two. Just absolute crazy body types at that weight division is unreal. Look at that pull counter there. That's a pull counter there and a right hand that just dropped Ryan Kelly. Crazy, crazy shot. Seeing that in person was absolutely mental. And he sunk to his knees afterwards, and he's like, in the interview, he said, look, this is the start of something great for me. And he's very well aware of what he could be doing and what could happen for him. He's very focused on that. And look, he's taking the opportunity. Eddie said in previous interviews, look, some people haven't and didn't want to step up. They needed more time. But the guys here on this first show have really taken the ball by the horns and just said, look, I'm going first. I'm going to take the opportunity. I don't know how many eyes are on this because, look, that first football match, what was it, Sheffield versus Aston Villa, which was a terrible, terrible match and boring as all hell. And obviously Sheffield got a goal disqualified. Oh, it should have been a goal, but it wasn't called a goal. It was watched by so many millions of people. We don't know how many millions, or if it's even that, but we don't know how many eyes are on this right now, you know. So it's a real good opportunity for these guys now to be on there, and a potential audience that's been increased due to the lack of sport. I'm just listening now here to David Hay describing it. It'll be interesting to get David's thoughts on what he sees in Hamzah as well. But yeah, Team HS, Ali TB as well. Shout out those guys because they're really doing well, doing good stuff for him. He's really got his head screwed on as well. Yeah, David recognised it as well. He can go all the way. It's just crazy, man. The guy is absolutely... Yeah, 21 years old or still. 2 years more at the weight is what he was saying. 2 years more it will hold, his nutritionist was saying, at the weight, or sports. I don't know what the role was, but anyway, we're saying at that weight he can hold it for 2 more years, so he could conceivably win a title potentially at that weight and then move up. So this is the start of something big potentially for Hamzah if he keeps it up. But obviously Paul Kean's looking to upset that apple cart. He doesn't want that to happen. Don't want that to happen because of him at his expense. So here we go, defending that WBO European title. Hamzah Sheeraz and Paul Kean. They're just getting the introductions now and walking their way to the ring. Big tune here, fucking Fatboy Slim, right here, right now. What a tune that is! As we wait for the introductions, let's roll on with another quick story, another little promo here I'll put on. So let's check this out. It's a story of David Avanesyan potentially signing for Matchroom when he was pitched to Matchroom by Alcesta. So check out the story, very interesting. Check it out.
Initially, I brought David to Neil, and I was the one who broke David in terms of sparring partnership with Kell Brook, Frankie Gavin, Chris Eubank Jr. David was unbelievable at the time, unbelievable level. He was going through them. The level was incredible. Everyone wanted him. Dennis Hobson, Frank Warren, everyone. But I called John Wischusen from Matchroom and I said, boys, I've got this incredible talent. And John said to me, Al, you're ahead of your time. We're not signing any Russians or anything unless he's got big television deal. We don't have this ethos bringing foreign fighters here because it's all about British scene.
We're back and Hamzah's just making his way to the ring. Just thought I'd share that story. Won't be able to get into it just now as we're just seeing Hamzah walk into the ring. Adil Meraban, welcome to the channel. Smash a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Look, I can't show you the fight. It's on BT Sport. You'll have to find it on BT Sport yourself or other places, but I'll be talking you through it here, so please feel free to join me or check it out elsewhere. But I can't show you the fight, but I'll be talking you through it as well. So smash the like and subscribe button here if you're on your way out anyway, and join us another time. But the fight's happening very soon. Hamzah Sheeraz has now made his way to the ring, and Paul Kean is in there as well. Hamzah looking trim, Hamzah looking focused, Paul Kean as well, looking the exact same thing. They both look like they're well prepared for this fight. Let me just move up. Just getting their official introductions, and I reckon Hamzah's gonna... I reckon Hamzah will eventually stop this guy. I won't predict any rounds at the moment, but I think Hamzah will stop this guy. But I don't, by no means I think this will be easy for him. We'll see. We'll see. Howard Foster in the ring. Hopefully no early stoppages. Alright, whilst they're doing their introductions. Yeah, so David Avanesyan. Alcesta was working with him back in the day, and he pitched him to Matchroom Sports Boxing, who eventually obviously turned that down and said it was way before their time. But it's really interesting considering you have Josh Kelly in Matchroom now, who now looks like he's not going to be taking on David Avanesyan, who's coming off of a good winning streak, knocking out Kermin Leharaga, good knockout streak. Listen, the guy's a real tough test, and Josh Kelly is untested really. He hasn't really had a signature performance just yet, and David Avanesyan beating him would have been that signature performance and signature kind of win. And it would have been signature wins for both of them, to be fair, actually, thinking about it. But Avanesyan, I think, by a lot of people, was very much favoured coming into that fight. The fighters are coming in now, so I'll just cut off on that, and Hamzah Sheeraz and Paul Kean are just looking at each other before the as Howard Foster gives his last instructions. So yeah, Hamzah Sheeraz, Paul Kean, bell for the first round is about to ring, and this will be a good fight, I'm sure. Let's check it out. Hamzah takes the centre of the ring. Paul Kean giving up that centre on the back foot. No real movement here from no real action here from either of them. No one really looking to throw a punch, just feeling each other out. Just jabbing to the body from Paul Kean. 1-2 shot there from Hamzah. Good shot. Got him on the ropes and he's looking to unload a single to the body. Yeah, Sheeraz towards the later rounds, I think he'll wear him down, Paul Kean. Unless something big comes in early, I think Sheeraz will take this to the later rounds and then look to overwhelm him, drowning him in deeper waters, as it were. A right hook to the arm and then a single jab to the body from Paul Kean as Hamzah just flicks out the jab and then feints and just keeping him on the ropes there as Paul Kean looks to shoot off with a left hand. Keeping on the ropes, just following him around a little bit, not cutting him off, but keeping him there is Hamzah. Adeleye going for the second round knockout for Hamzah Sheeraz. We'll see if that comes through. Solid right hand, and Sheeraz has knocked down Paul Kean. It's Paul Kean's got up. He looks all right, but that was a solid right hand. And that was the early knockdown, the early big shot that I said that might come, well, could come through, and it has. And he's looking now to finish Paul Kean. Paul Kean's just circling off to his left, but now back towards the right corner. If you can see it as a square, he's towards the bottom right corner now moving to his bottom left. Now the top left, just circling around, trying to buy himself some time. But that was a cracking right hand right on the jaw from Hamzah Sheeraz, who's got his opponent in trouble now. He's not looking to capitalise. He's taking his time here, though, after launching that right hand and detonating it on that chin of Paul Kean. No real action here at all. Hamzah just surveying the scene. Paul Kean just happy to be being let off the hook a little bit here. But I think Hamzah's making the right decision in a sense into not rushing into anything. I really want to see that right hand again because it was an absolute cracker. That was. Left hook to the body, gets its way through to Paul Kean. Just tapping on the door from Hamzah. Nothing really landed either from Paul, who's just looking to fight off and survive, really. He's not rocked at the moment, but he's not looking to get any offense. It's more offense to just shoot off and buy himself some time. It looks like he'll make his way through the round. Single jab to the body from Hamzah Sheeraz is the punctuation to end the first round. But the real punctuation was that right hand that absolutely rocked the chin of Paul Kean and sent him down to the canvas. I'm surprised he even got up. Maybe it was a flash, but that was too heavy to be a flash, actually. And that was a cracker of a right hand. Adeleye might get it round 2 right here. I thought he'd take it into later rounds, but a great start from Hamzah there. Detonating a bazooka of a right hand catching Paul Kean there. Let me know what you guys thought. That was I wasn't expecting that, to be fair. Hamzah's got that in his locker. It was a similar right hand that he landed on Ryan Kelly there. He could have. He definitely could have. Smash like and subscribe again if you're here and you. More of a hook. More of a hook there, is it? Let's have a look. He jabs. He's got the jab. He sees that he's in range, and look, Paul's just stayed there for too long on the ropes, and Hamzah just had a free shot, and he's landed it perfectly and just dropped him. Second round, bell for the second round rings again. The similar sort of stuff. Just tapping Hamzah wrist, getting out of range, and slowly just moving his way forward, backing his opponent onto the ropes as he's pressuring him as jab comes through the guard. Paul just looking to just try and get him off of him, push him off of him. He's just got to stay out of that range, does Paul, to make sure that he doesn't get caught by anything like he did in that first round. He did well to survive, but the thing is, that was more because Hamzah didn't pile on the pressure. Good right hand to the body from Hamzah. as he's trying to set something up here. I think he's trying to set up another right hand by shooting to the body first, then coming up to the top. Again, smash the like and subscribe if you haven't already. We do these live reactions to the channel. It'd be great to have you here in the future. Single jab just out of range. Right, little left hand to the body from Paul Kean. Paul Kean just feinting, looking to dip to his right and left. Just put off Hamzah, buy himself some time. Right hand misses from Sheeraz. Long lever jab lands from Sheeraz to Paul Kean's face. Without any, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but it just looks like Hamzah could take this and he's not pressing on the gas. Is that fair to say? Let me know what you think, because I think Hamzah's just taking his time here. And then when he steps on, like, look, you can see how freely he can come into range and then land those hooks to the body, then come up. Because he just pitter-patting with that jab. And I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying that Hamzah can put on the gas whenever he wants here, I think. Look, he's got his opponent towards the back, his back's towards those ropes again. Shoots off the ropes to get back to the center, Paul, but then retreats again to the ropes, and Hamzah's got his in his wheelhouse here. Lands a right hand. Good right hand to the body from right to the center of the chest there from Hamzah. Hamzah looking to engage with some sort of head-to-head kind of combat, but Paul Kean doesn't take the bait on that. But just look at the range that Hamzah can, because he's got those long arms that he can then engage from. Hamzah electing to use the guard there as he comes forward. There we go. There's the head-to-head, and he lands a crisp left hand to the body, then comes up with a left uppercut. He's flicking out the jab now. Hamzah's now he's feeling himself here, as he should. Adel's round 2 prediction doesn't come through. Could be round 3 though. Hamzah there, I think he's just looking to see where Paul Kean was. But at the end of the round, I think he's trying to beat him in both ways now. Beating him through boxing him. Then they went to head for a bit then. Hamzah was trying to show, look, I can outman you as well. And then towards the end, he was just flicking out some jabs. I think Hamzah's really comfortable now. By no means is Paul Kean out of it, but it just looks like to me that this is one where Hamzah can, like I said, just rev on the gas there. But it's a good showing, a really good showing from the 21-year-old. If Sahil's in here, sorry, not Sahil, Sahil is in here, let me know what you're thinking. There, look at that replay on that, just great body shot, and comes up with the left hook as well, left uppercut, sorry, as well. Bell for round 3 rings, and we're 20 seconds in. Paul backed up into a corner again. Pitter-patter sort of stuff from Hamzah now, just testing the guard here. The following aren't there though this time round. It's behind closed doors. Team HS can't come out and show out in force like they do. But I'm sure Team HS are at home and cheering on Hamzah here. Oh, good shot again, that uppercut. I couldn't quite tell if it landed. It looked like it did partially. Right hand there from Paul Kean as he then circles off towards the back of the ropes there, just buying himself some of the real estate in the ring to try and work off of and move out from. I think Paul needs to be a little bit busier here, but I think he's very wary of getting caught with something like he did, getting caught with that right hand, that bazooka right hand. But if Paul Kean's looking to win this WBO European title, then he's got to do more than he's doing now. And he can't be afraid to... He might have to get to the point where he's flicking out the jab Hamzah, then a 1-2 over the top. Solid work. Again, those jabs there and a 1-2 from Hamzah. Now, Paul's trying to imitate that kind of thing that Hamzah's doing, just trying to pick him off with that jab, find that range, and then launch him off, but he doesn't. He's back on the ropes again and moves off. Hamzah gets some work off. Paul moves off. Rinse and repeat right at the moment. Single jab and a double jab comes through for Hamzah. And a right hand he launches. Just shifts to his right, which allows Paul to move to his right and buy some more time on the ropes. Here you go. Now Hamzah looking to put on a few more combinations and be a bit more fluid now. Back towards the center of the ring. Paul just feinting, throwing out his jab. Now being pushed back towards the... What's this? The story about... yeah, exactly that. He's toying with him right now. That's exactly what he's doing. Listen, it's not... I wouldn't... You know, you wouldn't want to see any fighter... Listen, obviously they're confident, but you want to see them do the job. But... And it leads the opportunity for him to get caught by something. But look, I'm sure Hamzah is very aware of that. Again, if you're new already, smash the like and subscribe as we just moved past the third round. Hamzah Sheeraz dropping Paul Kean with a crack of a right hand, which he's recovered from. But the thing is, Paul Kean isn't putting back much offense on Hamzah to really make him think as he's coming forward. If anything, it's all Hamzah right now, really. And Paul's just kind of happy to survive. Now, again, this is a WBO European title on the line. And if he's looking to win it, then Paul's going to have to do more, be more busier, throw more at Hamzah, and take a few more risks to land on Hamzah to stop him from coming forward and give him a reason to stop. Now, we could do some things like try and tie him up, get some offense in, try and come in on the inside. But the problem is, Hamzah's got that range, and Hamzah will see that coming because of that range that he has. And he's in full control right now of the ring. And he's pushing and dictating to Paul where he's got to go, where he's got to be, through that jab, through cutting off the ring, and then gets in that offense, those 1-2s, those jabs on Paul Kean, and it's just rinse and repeat. Paul just on the ropes here, not where he wants to be. Being really patient. I think Sheeraz wants another one of those, just one bombs landing and for Paul to drop. I think that's what he wants. Hamzah wants to engage in some close combat, but Paul Kean's not taking the bait. Single jab to the guard of Hamzah. Hamzah shoots a left hook, which just misses. And then Paul Kean shoots a right hand, I think, back. Here we go, now head to head as Paul just slips on something on the advertising hoardings. Solid jab there, and a left hook to the body from HS. Yeah, at the moment that output's just dropped from Hamzah as well. Again, he's looking for those chances to be flashy with his shots. As he was just there with a 3-punch combination. And now he's dropped his guard here and he's just picking off some shots on Paul, who's not in any danger here. Good right hand there from Hamzah though, as Paul shoots one right to the body. What round is it, Ben? We're in round 4. A minute left to go of round 4. Again, smash the like and subscribe if you're new here. We do these live reactions on the channel, and we'll be doing these for all the fights. Testing that guard. Good right hand goes through. That right hand that landed in the first round came through for the 4th round. Not in the same sort of power, but still tests the chin of Paul, who's still there, who shoots off with a double jab right hand. Double jab, sorry, left hand. He's obviously a southpaw. Right hand comes through for Paul. On Paul, sorry. Who's winning? Hamzah's winning. He knocked down Paul Kean in the first round. It's just been all Hamzah ever since. Hamzah's just got the output here, even though it's dropped this time around, but nothing's really coming back from Paul at all. Not in the sense that it could be stopped, but it's just not. Paul's not taking those risks to get caught with anything, as he gets caught there with a left hook and a left uppercut, which we've seen a couple of times now in this fight. It's a signature move for Hamzah, which he likes doing. Jab up to the top, left hook to the body, followed by a left uppercut straight away, splitting that guard of Paul, who's now got blood coming down from his nose. I think that came from earlier. But the succession of those hits, of those left hooks and then uppercuts will do that. And that's what it's done to Paul, who's tentative in looking to engage in any real offense of his own and looking more to just survive really at the moment. Again, as we're waiting for round 4, smash the like and subscribe if you're new here. Smash the like if you're in here as well. We've got 4 likes, 11 of you in here. Please do smash the like. We do live reviews, we do interviews, other videos as well coming through. I interview for Boxing News TV. Check out some of the interviews there as well. I've interviewed Eddie Hearn, Amar Akbar, Shabazz Masood, Hamzah Sheeraz in the lead up to the British boxing returning. So do check those out, and hope to see you as well in future live reactions. So do subscribe here. Rinse and repeat again. These rounds are just following the archetype of the previous rounds. Paul there looking to shoot off some offense in the 5th round here at the start, but again gets pushed back towards the ropes. Hamzah just pushing his way forward, left hook to the body and a left uppercut, but this time Paul responds with a succession of shots. I didn't quite see those shots, but they land. A couple of them landed, I'm sure. It's a 10-rounder, Ben. We're 5 rounds into a 10-rounder, so we're halfway through. All Hamzah Sheeraz, as Paul leads with his head. Looked like a semi-uppercut, headbutt there from Paul, as he shoots a right hand over the top, which Hamzah misses. Single jab just evades Paul Kean's head, as he then moves off. Takes some shots on the inside, 3-punch combination. Now Hamzah is stepping on the gas here as he dips to his left and his right, then shoots off a jab and another jab, landing frequently now. Again, flicking off with that jab, just feeling the if Paul's ready to go or not, where he can land that big shot to put him down. Single jab comes through. Output just dropped again. Nothing really coming back from Paul here. When I'm talking to him, when I'm calling shots, it's just Hamzah who puts his gloves together, and I think he's feeling himself again. He's putting those combinations again together. Circles off, then comes to re-engage as Paul shoots a double jab to try and buy himself some ground, but Hamzah doesn't buy any of that. Those feints with those jabs. Just a single jab to the arm, and Hamzah responds with a right hand, which has hurt Paul, who covers up here. He's taking shots, three clean shots there, as his head was rocked through the barrage of shots from Hamzah. Hamzah just getting a warning from the referee. Or it's a telling off from the referee not to hold on to the head of Paul as he's looking to gauge that distance for that right hand again. Which is what he did, to be fair. He's landed a great left hand there. Got his opponent on the ropes. I think he's looking now to kind of put the finishing touches on here. And look, this is what me and David said here. Looking to those later rounds to finish him off. And in terms of a 10-round fight, this is towards the second half of the fight. It's more of those later rounds now. So I mean, it could have all happened earlier. Again, a first round knockdown, a big knockdown from Hamzah Sheeraz. But Paul's come through it. But the thing is, he's not doing anything to win the fight. And though he's not taking any like sustained beating, he's just getting that corner's fighter isn't winning any of the rounds or really winning any minute of the fight at all, which whilst it's not in any singular real moment become a question of whether to pull the fighter out, because it's sustained losing each round, not really coming back with anything, maybe it's a question then to pull the fighter out. But we'll see. Round 6 of 10. Same thing again, as Paul pushes off Hamzah and tries to shoot an overhand right. Single jab to the guard of Hamzah. A 1-2 is blocked, and a 2 is blocked from Paul Kean to Sheeraz. There, that's a solid shot there to the body from Paul, who gets tagged again with an uppercut and a jab. And a left hook and an uppercut and then a right hand again. I love the way he never negates the body. In his combinations, he always looks to go low with that solid shot to the body. Again, a solid left hook to the body. Almost like a shovel uppercut to the body, actually, to the left hand side of Paul. Again, just pinning his opponent towards the ropes. Paul's not being able to really get in any sort of space in the ring other than the outskirts and with his back towards the ropes. Real good work from Sheeraz. Solid jabs. Right hand comes through on the end of a 3-punch combination. Jabbing his way. 1-2s from Hamzah. Kean just gets caught with jabs, and then it's up to Hamzah as to whether he elects to look to trying to push him to the finish. You can see the blood on Hamzah's left glove from the face of Paul Kean. He's just happy to be against the ropes, but he's not launching anything back. Yeah, Troy's called him out a couple of times. They're saying about Troy Williamson taking on Hamzah Sheeraz, and Troy's called him out. Hamzah said he's not really all that fussed about call-outs and things. He's just doing his own thing. But I'll just get to some of the comments here. David saying, sparring session. He's just trying things out. Kean's not interested. If it was, I get what you're saying, and I agree pretty much with you. But if it was a sparring session, you'd think Kean would come out with more. But Kean's just come out with really not a lot. A handful of things at most. Even less in this round. Kean needs to start swinging and go out on the shield. Listen, Kean needs to just start throwing, doesn't he? Because he's corner's shaking his head here. Yeah, shakes of the head here from the corner. And this is the chat happening here. I think they're pulling him out. Yeah. Are they? No. No, they're not. Yeah, they pulled him out. It looked like there for the moment that they weren't going to pull him out, but that was the question that I thought needed to be asked. As I was saying, they needed to look at those rounds. Although Paul wasn't in any dire straight at any particular point apart from the first round, like any sustained sort of being, it was because he just kept coming back when he was getting picked off and punched up. That he wasn't coming back with anything, and that was the question that needed to be asked. And yeah, I think that's a good stoppage. It could even have come maybe a round earlier or so, but yeah, nothing coming back at all from Paul Kean. Corner made the right decision there, even though Paul looked a little bit pissed. But Ryan Kelly, that is, has to be said, gave him a tougher fight than Paul did, and in winning the WBO European title in Birmingham. Hamzah just showing he was too much for Paul on this occasion. And Hamzah moves on, maybe to Troy Williamson. Yeah, Hamzah won in the 6th round. The corner pulled him out, Ibrahim. Hamzah won in the 6th round. 6th round could have been the 1st round, but Paul, to his credit, got up. And Hamzah didn't step on the gas either. I think maybe he even wanted those rounds, to be fair, coming out of quarantine. Although he had that fight earlier, not early in the year, but we were supposed to have it in March, and he obviously was at Midlands Mayhem. But that's what it looked like, to be fair. He was happy to share that ring and just try those things out, like almost like a sparring session, like David was saying. But yeah, eventually he's got this finish. Let's see what Hamzah says here. Again, smash a like and subscribe if you're new here. We do these live reactions for the big fights, and we do videos on the channel. Much more content coming your way I'm working upon. I interviewed for Boxing News TV. I've interviewed Eddie Hearn recently, Freza Kendo, Hamzah Sheeraz recently. Stuff will be coming up on the channel here, so do check it out. Smash a like and subscribe if you're new here. We'll see you as well on future videos. But we're going to be here as well, checking out the aftermath of this fight. David Adeleye and Brad Foster and James Beech. But Team HS will be happy with this win as Hamzah retains that WBO European title. Big future of Hamzah, really big future. Ridiculous that he's 21. The guy can take so much time. He doesn't need to like push now, does he? But like, if it's there, I'm sure there will. But he looked just really good there against an opponent, yeah, who really, I think even after that first knockdown, that first round, it was really just beating out of him, to be honest with you. And then it was a sustained kind of, not a beating, but just like just picking off at him every single time, to the point where it was just the same thing. So good stoppage. Here's David Haye. David Haye gushing here about Hamzah. Canelo Alvarez, he's saying, not quite saying he's like Canelo, but saying he's just different. Again, that right hand is cracker, proper cracker. Lands on the nose, then follows through onto the chin.
If you said this was a 30-fight world champion with 10 world title defenses, you'd say clearly, look how calm he was under pressure.
Those uppercuts, the signature, that combination, jab, left hook, left uppercut, beautiful, and it just lands every single time. Listen, when it comes to opposition who's looking to come to win and things, Hamzah will get tested even further, and those will be better fights for him. This, like I said, Ryan Kelly was a better fight for him, where I think he learned more, he showed his tools, and he adapted. This fight was almost like a step back in a sense, in terms of opponent. No offense to Paul Kean, but it was in terms of what he brought to the fight than Ryan Kelly. But the guy's going to show it against better opponents at some point, even further than he has already. And future's bright for him for sure. And the most important thing about him, right, is he's not. It has to be said, like he's not feeling himself. His team won't gas him up. Ali TB, Team HS, the people around him don't gas him up. They keep him level-headed, and he's a level-headed guy himself. So that's the best thing about someone who's coming up at the age of 21, where they can take so much time. They don't have to rush anything at all. They just have to go on the route that they're going. So yeah, let's have a look at what Hamzah said here. Let's check out his reaction. Here we go, we've got him now.
Hamzah, before we talk about the fight, it's been a particularly difficult lockdown for you and your family.
Yeah, so they're just going to talk about here Hamzah losing his auntie.
No, of course. I'd just firstly like to thank the Almighty Allah for the victory, and secondly, I'd like to dedicate this win to my auntie who passed away of COVID-19, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully she's looking down and done her proud, hopefully.
Well, you certainly did her proud. It was a patient performance. It was a performance of a veteran, not a kid of 21 years of age.
Performance of a veteran, not a kid. Listen, the patience was key. Although
Last, yeah. But no, I got the win.
David saying here, like, saying the same thing I'm sort of saying, I'm repeating myself here, but this is the thing, honestly, he is genuinely very exciting. I'm liking the look of Hamzah. Seen a couple of his fights, could go a long way. He really could, honestly. Listen, he's only young, he's 21, but he's got a good team around him, he's got good skills, he's been able to get to a weight where he's just absolute, because of his frame and size, he's crazy at being at that weight, but he can still stay there, potentially win a title. He's going to grow, and as his body grows, he'll grow into other divisions. He could win titles there and could grow again and could win titles at another division. So the trajectory and path potentially for Hamzah is a really great path. Just obviously you can't look ahead and you can't think, you know, that's there and it will be there. It has to be there because of what he does, as opposed to it being given. But again, the team around him are really good. And he could get there for sure. He could get there. He's definitely one to watch. I put him definitely as one to watch. Check him out the next time out you see him. I'm sure he'll have an active year as possible. What with lockdown and COVID going on as things ease, but he's got the win here, and it's a good platform for him. We'll see how many eyes are on him. But this is a good opportunity for him, good platform to show that performance as well. Hardly got hit. Anthony Creased 10 rounds. Yeah, it was a 10-round fight, but it ended in 6 rounds. Could have ended earlier. Cracker of a right hand. As we're waiting for the next fight and listen to Hamzah, smash the like and subscribe to the channel. We do these live reactions as well as other interviews. More content coming up on the channel. I interview Boxing News TV as well. Wish I could be here, could have been there, but that's another matter. But we'll be out there soon and getting some stuff for the channel and for Boxing News TV as well. So smash a like and subscribe if you're new here. Great to have you on board in the future live reactions.
Paul, 21, but he's not a boy. He is most definitely a man.
Cannot wait to see him in action again and in front of those incredible supporters of his. It will be something very special.
Good stuff from Hamzah. Really good stuff.
Live on BT Sport. As we have said from the start, this is only the first step tonight. There will be more show back, really, Paul. And it was
right then.
I was particularly interested in hearing what Hamzah said about that first round.
Whilst we're waiting, let's talk about. We've talked about the aftermath of that fight. Let's talk about some other promos I've got lined up, and let's talk about Fraser Kendo, who I recently interviewed. We'll talk a bit about Hamzah as well later on. But let's move on to Fraser Kendo as we're waiting for the next fight. I think it'll be David Adeleye and then it'll be Brad Foster. So here's what Fraser Kendo said as I got to interview him about what's been happening to him over the last 6 years through some of the things that the WBA have put him through that he believes the WBA are accountable for in his career, and not being able to get that title shot for the WBA regular title rematch that he should have had when he fought Ruslan Chagaev over in Chechnya, who's now obviously retired. Chagaev has, but he hasn't quite got that rematch yet. And here's some of Fraser Kendo's comments to check those out.
What the WBA has done to their own organization is just poison. I mean, why are you trying to be greedy and get more sanctioning fees and have other regular titles, WBA gold titles, entering? I mean, that's ridiculous, man. The WBA, they didn't step up to us, the fighters, man, in time of need because of the circumstance, and that's wrong. Yes, the WBA knowing that I was supposed to get paid a minute, and they were supposed to make sure all fighters, all the commission, all the championship fighters get paid for a contract, for a WBA contract that I signed. That promised me that, and the WBA didn't do nothing. They turned another way. The WBA, again, their pockets are their main concern, not the health of a fighter. The fight was canceled, wasn't postponed. The WBA canceled it. The WBA then postponed it, and it's in a record, and they know that. That's why they're shitting bricks right now. And now the WBA, they the utmost, I mean, just black-hearted organization, and I'm gonna say it blatantly because they're not doing what's right for us, the fighters.
Thank you, fellas. And 2 to come here tonight on Fight Night Live.
Chagaev
Another young
supposed to get
heavyweight.
disqualified, but of course
Big
they're not
ambition.
gonna do that in Chechnya
David Adeleye.
because they'll get beheaded or something. You know, telling them I was in this palace, golden spoon, golden cups, and Chagaev was all busted up, black eye, but he looked at me like, you really want, the fix was in. I was just like in disgust with the World Boxing Association. Like, the fix was in. They've been paid off, and at all means necessary on their end, they're not gonna make no resolution that's fair to me. Father would be very disappointed, knowing that, there's 4 different titles for the WBA. I've been promised this championship for over 6 years. I should have been crowned champ by default. It's not my fault that these last 4 or 5 fighters tested positive for steroid. Crown me champ. A lot of these fighters are taking advantage of, and fighting for these interim gold world championship belts and all this, what the WBA is doing.
Right then, so those are the comments of Frez Oquendo in a recent interview I did with Frez. Whilst we're waiting for David Adeleye, who's next up, Ben in answering to question, Ben Humphreys again. Welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here on this live reaction, Ben Humphreys. We've got David Adeleye next, who has been the sparring partner of Tyson Fury in the lead up to Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 2, the rematch, as we obviously all saw. Devastating finish and dismantling of Deontay Wilder by Tyson Fury in that fight. David Adeleye helped Tyson Fury get ready for that fight. The thinking was that we need someone raw in terms of the way that Deontay Wilder throws his shots. He's very uncoordinated, not quite as slick as a seasoned professional in terms of textbook boxing is. Just in the way as an upcoming fighter wouldn't be quite as slick and seasoned because they're upcoming and they're learning their craft. They thought they'd bring in some younger, hungrier fighters looking to kind of push and throw against Tyson. And they brought in David Adeleye, who impressed them and he helped Tyson Fury prepare for that fight. And now David Adeleye is getting his opportunity. We'll talk about David Adeleye in a moment as we get close to that fight. We'll just go on to Frez Oquendo as I get up my notes about Frez. I'll just, whilst I'm putting up my notes regarding Frez and what he said there, if you guys don't know, I'll be talking about that Frez interview and running you through everything here, which I did do on the Boxing Asylum. If you guys are on here and you do not listen to the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast, get on the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. It is the, in my opinion, best boxing podcast out there. It's certainly the one that I've listened to. It's Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I was on there. I've been there a couple of times. The guys are really great there. And talked about the Frez Oquendo situation as I just pull up my notes here. But yeah, look, let's have a look what's saying. David's just saying here, Frez was a great fighter back in the day. Should have been a world champion already. He got robbed against Holyfield, I think it was. He fought James Toney, Jean-Marc Mormec, and it might have been Holyfield as well. And I think the Jean-Marc Mormec fight was Dan Raphael, who Frez has had his dealings with in the past, called that fight the robbery of the year because Frez didn't get the decision on that one, looking back onto it. So, as I said, we'll just talk about this whilst we're waiting for the next fight. A little bit of a backstory for you guys to know about Frez Oquendo as we're waiting for David Adeleye to come for the next fight. So, let's go into this. Frez Oquendo here. I'm just going to go through the same sort of thing that I said on the Boxing Asylum again. Again, subscribe to the Boxing Asylum podcast. So, if you aren't familiar with Frez's situation with the WBA, the interview I did with him is like a one-stop shop for literally everything that happened from 2013 up until pretty much present day, where Frez has had like a recent ruling regarding everything he's been through, at least in terms of the Manuel Charr fight as well, not going through and money being from the old contract being used for the new contract, even though it said in the old contract, allegedly anyway, that if someone tests positive for steroids, then the person affected by that positive test, i.e. Frez Oquendo, would be then due that money, and in any rescheduled match, some new money would be involved. Frez hasn't got that money. He's been fighting that for that money. Is, to my understanding, from what Frez has told me, is what's happening now. But anyway, it's a timeline of literally everything of that happened. But this is a story that I think boxing fans should know everything about. It's got a lot of moving parts with distinctive nuances. I mean, like, interaction with Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov really sets him apart from like an atypical boxing story. But it's from speaking to Frez, like it's clear that Frez has fallen into some of the classic pitfalls that boxers frequently fall into, unfortunately. Like not being paid for fights or going into fights which don't financially benefit him, not having money in escrow, having advisors that Frez say hang around him who weren't looking out for his interests. I mean, at one point it's reported that Manuel Char, who was supposed to fight, his team went for meetings. Frez's advisors went for meetings, right? But Frez stated that he didn't even know that someone went on his account to those meetings. He had to find out on the internet that people had gone out on his account that he didn't know at all, which is crazy. Frez has also like lost fights in which the boxing community seem in large part to agree with the losses. Like I said, the John Mark Mormick fight was apparently the robbery of the year, according to Dan Raphael. Like David Graham is saying here, like Frez was robbed against Evander Holyfield. So stuff has happened to Frez. Things have happened to Frez which really haven't gone his way. He hasn't really had a break. But the thing is, he's now looking to hold, or he's been trying to hold those people accountable for what's happened to him, and he's done that through legal proceedings, which other fighters are looking to do. But I feel fighters don't do enough. So let's go into what happened here then. As David just saying here, surely he's too old to compete now, though too much time out of the ring. Feel sorry for him. Well, we'll get to that in terms of what he wants for. We'll get to what he wants for in terms of what he wants, whether it be another fight in the ring or just to be awarded the fight, because he does say that, and he's what, like 46 now, I believe. Yeah, I think he's 46 now, so he but he still does want to fight, I believe. Anyway, look, Frez has been locked in a 6-year battle, a 6-year and counting battle with the WBA and others for an opportunity at the WBA regular heavyweight championship, which he had contractual entitlement to, after he and his team negotiated for and successfully inserted into a rematch clause into his agreement against Ruslan Chagayev. Becky White, we're at David Adeleye is coming up now. Hamzah Sheeraz has fought. Dorian Krasmaru has fought. Mark Chamberlain has fought. Hamzah Sheeraz has fought, like I said. It's now David Adeleye, and then it'll be the main fight, which is Brad Foster versus James Beech Jr. So we're just waiting. They're just talking now as we're waiting for David Adeleye to head to the ring. And then whilst we're waiting for that, I'm just telling you the story regarding Frez Okendo. And then we'll get to the commentary on David Adeleye and then Brad Foster. So soon, hopefully, we should be seeing the fight with David Adeleye and then Brad Foster. So if you're new here, again, smash like and subscribe. Becky, I haven't seen you here before. Smash like and subscribe. And British Memes, good to see you in here. We do these live reactions. I interview boxers as well here on the channel and for Boxing News TV. So great to see you as well in future live streams as well. So whilst waiting, again, look, Frez Okendo, right? He gets this rematch clause inserted into his contract. He had it because problems were... Foster's hopefully fighting, I think, in the next, like, maybe half an hour. After this fight, David Adeleye is coming on now. And then, hopefully, it'll be Brad Foster afterwards. So, yeah, anyway. Frez Okendo had this rematch clause put in because his family, his wife, gave birth to his son. But there was complications during the birth. And he'd been training Frez hadn't been training into the lead up to the fight with Chagayev taking place in Chechnya. Like, it was a WrestleMania-like spectacle. What was missing was Chagayev's opponent, Frez Okendo, because of what was happening at home. So a phone call comes in, right, which Frez answers, and it's from President Kadyrov on the other end saying, look, he goes, look, you're going to get your purse of $250,000, which has been raised to $500,000. Guess what? Now I'm raising it to $1 million if you come take this fight. So alongside your rematch clause, you're going to get $1 million. So Frez goes on that pretense of the cash and the rematch and arrives a day before. Fast forward 6 years later, and here I am talking on this channel, on my channel, right? Frez hasn't received nearly over, I think it's around 775,000, basically over $700,000 Frez hasn't received of that money. Nor has he got his rematch of the WBA regular heavyweight title. So the story starts with 2013, and in the heavyweight scene, you've got Alexander Povetkin, who's fighting Dillian Whyte now, right? He holds the WBA regular heavyweight title until 2013. He beats Chagev, and then he goes on to fight Klitschko, and Povetkin obviously lost to Klitschko, didn't he? And you'd think the regular title was gone with it, but what the WBA did was make Vladimir Klitschko the super champion and continue on with the regular WBA heavyweight title. Therefore, a fight would need to be scheduled for the vacant regular title between two fighters. So that's where we're in 2013, a main title in the form of the WBA Super and the secondary title in the form of a regular title sharing parts of the title under the banner of the WBA. So I think everyone knows here, none of this is like Frez's fault. Like WBA using the regular title as like a conduit to allow to set up fights with their super champion without having to make the super champion fight, basically Klitschko, as opposed to like using the conventional ranking system. But you know, they're not the only ones to do this type of thing. Lots of organizations do this sort of stuff. But the thing is that this is all part of like the title littering that's currently plaguing the sport, and this sets in motion the next 6 years, which leads to an eventual fight between Frez Oquendo and Ruslan Chagev for that WBA regular heavyweight title. Just seeing David Adeleye come into the ring now as we're waiting for him. As we're waiting for that the bell to ring for this first fight, I'll continue on. Actually, we'll cut to that because these guys just about to step in now as they both go face to face there. Forehead on forehead. Yeah, David will hold that story there just for now because David Adeleye is about to take on his opponent here as the bell for the first round is about to ring. Referee's just giving his instructions here. Adeleye versus Gordon. This is the sparring partner to Tyson Fury in the rematch of the fight with Deontay Wilder, who's looking to break his name away from being the sparring partner of Tyson Fury, and he's looking to make his own name here. Looks quite fast on his feet, although nothing's happened. He looks quite agile. Pouring out that left hand, just trying to find out his range. Lazy little left hook there from Gordon, trying to just buy some of that real estate in the ring there and trying to just get some room away from Adeleye, who's just pouring out the jab here. No real actions happen from either fighter as a right hand shoots over the top and the left hook gets through to the body of Gordon, who shoots off with a right hook in return to Adelaye's body as they're then separated by the referee as they both kind of hold each other. Left hook there from the body to the body from Adeleye. I hope he gets his... Thanks, bro. I'm coming back for the Foster fight. Great to see you here, British Memes. Good to hopefully see you in a moment. David saying, I hope he gets his money. Boxing is corrupt. We'll get back to that Frez Oquendo story in the few moments, hopefully. Becky White, great content, mate. Keep it up. I appreciate it. It's great to see you guys in here. Again, smash a like and subscribe. We'll be doing much more of these in the future, and I've done a lot of these in the past as well, so be sure to subscribe and click the like button. We'll see you hopefully soon as well. Let's get back to the action as we've now got under a minute left in this first round. No real punch of note has landed for either fighter as a right hook comes to the top from Adeleye to Gordon, which rocks Gordon back to the ropes here. Gordon covers up in his shell here, then shoots off a jab to the body. Adelay's looking to swing and catch him again with that right hand, but they just kind of disengage there and go back towards the center of the ring. Right hand to the body lands from Gordon as Adeleye shoots like a wild left, which the air time on that and the range in which it missed was a little bit well, it was grand to say the least. But again, no real punches now as they just lower that output there in this last 20 seconds. But a good solid right hand landed from Adeleye, which initially rocked Gordon towards the ropes. He got in another right hand as Gordon covered up. Just a little moment there where Gordon's legs wobbled, and Adeleye looked to seize the opportunity and try and get that knockout, but wasn't able to capitalize upon it. Gordon there using his experience and covering up. As we wait for the second round there, we'll take this minute to go for more on the story about Frez. So the fight happens with Frez Akendo and Chagayev, and not a lot happens. It's a non-event really, but outside the ring you see David Haye, Evander Holyfield, Costa Tszyu, Marco Huck. They're all seated, but what really you need to know about is what happens ringside, which everyone who watched that fight would have seen. And what you see at ringside is in round 7, the president of the country, Ramzan Kadyrov, makes his way over to the Chagayev corner, and he comes over and he starts to take a look and starts to speak to Chagayev, giving him instructions. He's not a second, he's not part of the corner in any shape or form, but he does this in round 7, 9, 10 and 11. And we'll go back to the action as it's round 2 now, as David Adeleye throws a 4-punch combination ending with a left hook to the body. Now he's winging in shots here, right hands. This guy's got some pedigree about him, David, as he shoots left hooks to the body, 2 of them. Left hook to the body ending the combination. 2 of them, he won ABA, senior ABAs multiple times. He's from the which gym is he from? Let me have a quick look. 1 second. Got this down in my notes. He's from, pretty sure I'm right here in saying he's Dale Youth ABC. Yeah, that's where I believe that's where we're from. Dubois from as well. But anyway, that's the same sort of trajectory they want for him, don't they? They want him to go that Dubois trajectory. He's got a good origin story, hasn't he? He's like he's from around the area of Grenfell Tower, and obviously everyone knows what happened with Grenfell, which is obviously terrible. But he's had that as he's been kind of growing up in his last few years. Had that in the shadow, and that is a motivation for him, I believe, in reading some of the stuff about David. Yeah, he's just pushing back Gordon, shooting some left hooks to the body. Nice right hand. Another crack. That was a solid right hand there. Gordon looking in a little bit of trouble here. Covers up, and you can see the trouble he's in because he holds David here, who smiles knowing that he caught Gordon there. And a bit veteran move there just to buy himself some time after that solid shot. Again, that right hand come through. I think it just brushed off. Just missed, did it? Okay. But if it landed, it would have dropped him. Just takes a shot there, though. Gordon lands a shot there on David. It's British memes. It's David Adeleye, and I didn't catch the first name of this fellow who's in the ring with. It goes by the name of Gordon. So it's David Adeleye, the sparring partner to Tyson Fury, is in the ring against Gordon here. Just pouring that guard off and then trying to land clean shots here. Nothing coming back here, and he's dropped Gordon here. He looks in all sorts. Shaky legs here. He's all over the place. I think this should be stopped. This should be stopped here. Yeah. That fight was stopped, and it was a good decision from the referee because his legs were all over the shop. David Adeleye ends the fight by getting his opponent towards the corner, and he pours down that jab, just allowing for him to get that couple of inches to land those succession of shots there. He does that a couple of times, and then finally gets, after a barrage of punches, I think a right hand through, which crumbles Gordon there down in kind of installments. Who then has to, you can see his kind of legs buckle, has to pick himself up by putting his hand up to the top of the ropes and bring himself up, and he was on a shaky street there. There you go, you see it? Right hand's there, an uppercut comes through, another right hand, and he falls down. But he just pours down, there you go, he pours down the left hand of Gordon to set up those shots. And Gordon's not responding there, and his guard fails him as well because he's taking those shots too much. The guard was non-existent after he landed that shot where he pulls down the guard then became just a formality there. Good work there. Good little move there from Gordon. We see all the pros do it. It's not a new move by any sense, but good little move there to get the finish there in the, what was it, the second round there. Good stuff from David. A very routine British memes in regards to David Adeleye. It's not the second. Is that Adelaye's second fight? I think it is. They're in Stratford. They're not in an arena. They're in I believe they're in London, Stratford at BT Studios. Listen, in terms of David Adelaye's potential, it's really hard to say at the moment because look, you know, it's only had, what is it, one fight I think it is before this, so this is his second fight. Yeah, this is his second fight, so it's really hard to say how much potential he has. But listen, he's got decent amateur pedigree behind him. He's won ABAs, he's won them multiple times. I think the biggest thing about him is obviously he's been brought in as the sparring partner of Tyson Fury, and he's been kept there essentially. If he wasn't any good, he would have been brought in and left and gone, but they used him and they trusted him. That's the thing about it. And when you see people at the top of the sport bring in people, like they bring in all sorts of people, but they've also talked about him in a sense that they believe him to be able to go on and do something in the sport as well. But obviously he'll have to break out of that name of just being Tyson Fury's sparring partner. But that's the main thing about it, that he's been brought in and he's got that recognition and got that credibility to him now because of that. So he'll have to break through that, like I said, and make his own name through beating other fighters now, as he's looking to do, of course. But in truth, in fact, we don't really know how good he is just yet. But I'll be keeping an eye on him for sure. This was a good performance against an opponent who, well, he threw a few punches at David, but really he looked to just cover up. Matt Gordon really isn't any kind of isn't really a journeyman in the heavyweight scene at all. He's had like what, maybe, I think he's had less than 10 fights, if that. Maybe he's fought Krasmaru before. Krasmaru obviously been sparring with Daniel Dubois, but listen, good start for him. This next year, if he's more active, and then the next couple of years as well, we'll see where he gets to. But that's the trajectory. Like I said earlier, the trajectory they want for him is very similar to Daniel Dubois, and they'll build him the same way as Daniel Dubois did. Get him that kind of marquee British title shot like Dubois did against Gorman, which kind of set up Dubois, and then look to build Adeleye in that sort of way as well. So future's bright for Adeleye, just you've got to see more from him. Who's winning now? Ben, that was David Adeleye. And what round is it? It was round 2. Who do you want to win, Foster or Beech? I'm rooting Foster. British memes, in all honesty. Let me just check something, one sec. In all honesty, I've not really got a horse in the race, to be honest with you. I just really want to see a good fight. I think they're both Midlanders, aren't they? Foster is from one of them is from Wolverhampton. I get confused. One of them is from Wolverhampton. One of them is from like Lichfield, any? Something like that. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so I thought that Foster's from like the Warsaw like area kind of thing, and then James Beech Jr. is from like Wolverhampton, isn't he? I'm pretty sure. something around that way. Well, they're both basically from the Midlands. I'm from the Midlands as well. I'm from Birmingham, here in Birmingham. So, like, you know, I have no real horse in the race. I'm just looking to see a great fight. I reckon Foster, if I had to pick a fighter, I think Foster will probably have too much maybe for James, but I think it'll be a really good fight. That's what I reckon. I think it'll be a really good fight. It's a shame that this fight had to be in quarantine, because if you think about Midlands Mayhem, which was in Birmingham last, I spoke to Frank Warren after that event, and I said, you know, are you looking to come back to Birmingham? Although it didn't sell out or anything like that, it was a good show. It was a really good show. You had like British title fights. You had a world title fight between Adeleye, Tete, and Krasmaru, which was a crazy fight. And he said, yeah, we're looking to build in Birmingham. And this would have been a great fight, wouldn't it? If you think about it. Both from the Midlands area, fight in Birmingham. Both would have brought their crowds. It would have been really good to have this in Birmingham. But listen, they're doing it in quarantine, doing it behind doors, and the fight's happening anyway. So maybe they could do a return fight in the future. But listen, it'd be a really, really good fight regardless. But shame it's not happening in Birmingham. Let's see what David Adeleye is saying here.
Slow, so I could see him loading up. I could see them shots coming.
David saying he was slow.
See the opportunities, but yeah, I mean, I knew you respected my power straight away. So
they both had good potentials, I believe. Listen, they're both really matched up evenly, aren't they? Foster's 12-0-2, 2 draws, and Beech is 12-0, isn't he? So it's a very evenly matched fight. Obviously, well, in terms of records, I think for me, Foster's had the better opponents, and Beech has been only really at kind of like Midlands like area kind of level. So Foster has the edge in terms of some of the fighters he's fought and the level he's been at. But Josh Well, for example, he's fought Josh Well. Brett Frido is a name. Josh Well's a good opponent to beat. Obviously, Porky loves him. Lucian Reed had a draw and then a win. So I think that's what gives the edge to Foster for me. But it's a good fight. Yeah. Look, both the Lucian Reed name and Josh Well. I think Josh Well's a win as well on his record. That's a really good win. Josh is by no means like a pushover in any sort of sense. Just hearing what David's saying here. Very likeable in this interview, David. Good looking chap. You can be offered, and he's a good talker as well. And that's one of those key things for like superstardom. If you want to get to that Anthony Joshua level, especially when you're heavyweight British. You're looking at your Tyson Fury, you're looking at Anthony Joshua. He's got a personality, he's very likeable, and he's a good-looking chap. That's going to take you up to that top level if he keeps his focus. And David Adeleye is definitely on that trajectory. So in the next few years, just keep an eye on David for sure. Whilst we wait for the next fight, I'm just going to pop to the toilet. I'm going to play the Fraser Kendo interview again, just so I can pop to the toilet quickly, and then I'll come back and we'll get back into that story about Frez, if we've got that time before the Foster fight comes on. If not, that's fine. We can pick it up another time. But let's play this again as I quickly pop to the toilet.
What the WBA has done to their own organization is poison. I mean, why are you trying to be greedy and get more sanction fees and have other regular talent, WBA gold title entrant? I mean, that's ridiculous, man. I mean, no, the WBA, they didn't step up to us, the fighters, man, in time of need because of the circumstances, and that's wrong. Yes, the WBA, knowing that I was supposed to get paid a minute, and they were supposed to make sure all fighters and all their commission, all the championship fighters get paid per contract, per WBA contract that I signed. That promised me that, and the WBA didn't do nothing. They turned another way. The WBA, again, their pockets are their main concern, not the health of a fighter. The fight was canceled, wasn't postponed. The WBA canceled it. The WBA then postponed it, and it's in a record, and they know that. That's why they're shedding bricks right now. And now the WBA, they the utmost, I mean, just black-hearted organization, and I'm gonna say it blatantly because they're not doing what's right for us, the fighters.
For the British and Commonwealth Super Bantamweight champion, Brad Foster. He's not had it all his own way by any means so far, but now beginning to look the part, and tonight he can win a Lonsdale belt outright.
Post your job and get a vetted local tradesperson on mybuilder.com.
Here they come.